Welcome back to the Cardinal Report. Joining us now is North Central Sports Information Director, Clark Teuscher. Clark, thanks for checking in.
Glad to be here.
So let's start off with the women's basketball. They sort of suffer the same fate as the men do against Wheaton in a game that was a lot closer at halftime than the final score ended up being.
Yeah, you see the score from the first time they played, you think it was essentially a replay of the previous performance. It wasn't the case at all. It was a 4-point game at halftime. Had made great use of the free throw line, had a chance to stay in the game and try to make a game of it in the second half, and unfortunately kind of unraveled a little bit as Wheaton got on a bit of a hot streak and ran away with it. Yeah,
it's hard to beat any team that shoots 65% from the floor in the second half, but the women really are still in the hunt mathematically for the CCIW tournament.
Yeah, when you play a system like the one that they play, there's a chance for a game to get out of hand like that when a team gets hot. But there's still 6 games left. It's kind of wide open for the last 2 spots in the conference tournament. So if they perform well these last 3 weeks, then they've got a chance of extending their season a little bit.
And they got a couple tough games. Well, I know Illinois Wesleyan is on the schedule. Carthage is next, who's 8-0 in conference. But do you think the Cardinals have a chance to possibly pull an upset if teams are looking past them?
Well, they played a good competitive game against Carthage earlier in the year. So they know that they can hang with a team like that, and Carthage currently leads the conference. So there's no reason to think that they can't compete with the rest of the teams on their schedule.
And another women's team that did a lot better this week, and it was at Carthage as well, was the women's track and field team. Leading the way was Ebony Stallworth, who broke the record in the shot put.
Yeah, by almost a foot over her previous personal best. So I think certainly there's some room to grow in that event for her with her new throws coach, Sean Denard, who was an All-American himself at Mount Union. The field events as a whole were a real strong point for the team, which they've been decent at scoring points in those events the past few years, but to be that strong across such a wide variety of them certainly was good to see.
And one of the field events shining was Elizabeth Composto in the pole vault, winning her 2nd straight week. She's really become a regular at the top of that leaderboard.
Yeah, she's got some high expectations of herself this year after having been to the national championships twice as a freshman. So I think she's still not quite where she would like for herself to be, but certainly somebody with the high aspirations like that, you never really are. So it's definitely good to see some progress in that event, and I think we're going to see more of that as the season goes on.
Also with the Tad Metzger invite was the men's indoor track and field team, and they won that in dominating fashion. Top 4 spots in pole vault, top 3 spots in the 400-meter dash. They really seem to show their depth in that meet.
Yeah, it's a lot of the same events where they've been strong. Typically, they generally perform pretty well at Carthage's track for whatever reason. Peter Garrity, a guy that missed the last indoor season due to injury, comes up with a big 17-foot pole vault. He's a foot ahead of everybody else in Division III right now, which is just outstanding. For this early in the season. So, he's certainly the leader, but there's a lot of guys coming along with him.
It seems like he's really making up for that lost time from last season.
Yeah, I think, he's definitely very motivated and, took that forced time off as an opportunity to really get himself strengthened to prevent it from happening in the future.
So now with a couple meets under their belts, they start to see where they stack up against the rest of the teams in the nation. And right now the Cardinals sitting at 3rd in the computer rankings.
Yeah, I think they've still got some areas where they'd like to see themselves progress a little bit. They've still got some guys in the distance event that haven't necessarily run their specialties yet, and that's an area where they've generally been pretty strong. So I don't think necessarily have the entire picture of the caliber of team that they have, but we're get a little bit closer every week.
And another team that was close to going undefeated this weekend was the wrestling team. They go 2-1 at the border brawl, and Nathan Fitzenreiter again leading the way.
Yeah, Nathan was definitely very dominant. He actually moved down one weight class from 141 to 133, which is more natural weight class. Just gave him a little bit of time to get himself down to that weight naturally. And really came down to just one match to decide whether they were going to go undefeated or not. It came down to the heavyweight match in the last match of the day, and it went against him. I believe the score was 4-2. Definitely for a team that has struggled in dual competition throughout this season, it was definitely good to see them experience some success.
It's got to be a confidence booster for them, and also a confidence booster is looking what they have for the future. Obviously, you have veterans like Fitzenreiter, but the majority of that roster is underclassmen, guys that were really, contributing.
Yeah, and, the question of whether they had talent was definitely never was there. The question was, when are these guys going to start stepping up and wrestling at a caliber that's going to enable the team to start doing well, as a whole, and I think we're starting to see a little bit of that now.
Well, it should be exciting, and we look forward to watching them in the future. Clark, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
The men's basketball team is back on their home court this Saturday as they face off against Elmhurst College. Tip-off set for 7 p.m. If you can't make it to Gregory Arena, you can catch a live stream of all the men's and women's home games right here on Channel 17 and on NCTV17.com. We'll see you here next time on the Cardinal Report.